CBSE Biology, Class 10, Chapter 9, Heredity and Evolution, Part 3a. Let us learn the biology chapters through questions and answers, which most of the students prefer. Note that PG here is for page, PR for paragraph in your textbook, and questions are in yellow color while answers are in white color. How different changes in each subpopulation accumulate. Over generations, genetic drift will accumulate different changes in each subpopulation. Also, natural selection may also operate differently in these different geographic locations. Thus, for example, in the territory of one subpopulation, crows are eliminated by eagles, but this does not happen for the other subpopulation, where crow numbers are very high. As a result, the green variation will not be selected as the first site, while it will be strongly selected at the second. How members of two groups, subpopulations change to that extent that they cannot reproduce with each other. Together, the process of genetic drift and natural selection will result in these two isolated subpopulations of beetles becoming more and more different from each other. Eventually, members of these two groups will be incapable of reproducing with each other, even if they happen to meet. What are the different ways changes accumulate in members of two isolated subpopulations? There can be a number of ways by which this can happen. If the DNA changes are severe enough, such as a change in the number of chromosomes, eventually the germ cells of the two groups cannot fuse with each other, or a new variation emerges in which green females will not mate with red males but only with green males. This allows very strong natural selection, and effectively new species of beetles are being generated. What is evolutionary relationship? It is sort of going backwards in time. We can do this by identifying hierarchies of characteristics between species as per their arrangement in classification groups. As per classification, how organisms are grouped. Similarities among organisms will allow us to group them and then study the groups. For this, we consider which characteristics decide more fundamental differences among organisms and which ones decide less basic differences. The more similarities are found in smaller groups and closer groups. Similarly, the more differences are found in larger groups and distant groups. You can see this in this picture of classification. What decides which two species had a common ancestor? The more characteristics two species will have in common, the more closely they are related, and the more closely they are related, the more recently they will have had a common ancestor. Man and apes had a common ancestor, but not man and frogs. End of this part. Dear students, share your doubts and questions to this email given below. The question answers of this chapter, how do organisms reproduce, will be continued in the next video.